Fighter plays an important role when playing a match. They are expected to be in almost every fight. They can tank damage, also does a significant amount of damage output. But there are many easy and simple ways that can effectively counter them. Watch this video to find out. Hi guys, Kazuki here, and in this video we will be talking about the ways of counter or ways to play against fighters. And note that there are only the heroes with the role fighter. Other hybrid such as tank fighter, fighter tank, fighter assassin, fighter mage, fighter marksman or support fighter wouldn't be included as there are too many heroes to cover. We will be covering the remaining heroes in another video. And here are the questions from our previous video. The first question is asked by Mlbb asking who will get M5 skin. It is confirmed that Yuzong will be getting it. The second question is asked by Christian Martinez, asking when is the Granger and Hayabusa Exorcist skins coming. It is expected to come in the month of November or December. Balmond. Balmond can be really annoying, especially when playing as a tanky jungler. Facing him is hard if your team have no heroes that can take him down. Once he gets some gold lead, he will be a pain for your whole team. And not to let that happen, use heroes like Valir, Franco or even Alpha. The true damage is just awesome against Balmond. For items you can get Antiquarius, Brute Force and Dominance. Freya. Freya's early game potential is just amazing, and because of this, she can go out of control if she gets enough farm. To prevent that from happening, play safe in the early game. You can also use heroes like Franco to ult and burst her down with your teammate. Kufra can also make her hard to play by not letting her using a skill 2. For item Antiquarius, the Wind of Nature and Dominance Ice works well. Get one of these items to reduce her shield and also her lifesteal. Chao. Chao is more likely to be assassin hero and he sure is scary in bursting down. He can easily reach the back line and one shot and leave again. When facing a good Chao players, always get the warrior boots and the item component Dreadnought armor. You can also get a Wind of Nature, Dominance and Rose Gold Meteor not to get one shot by him. Heroes like Esme, Terizla and Yuzong can win against him during the laning phase. Pick these and slow his farming down in the early game. You can also use the spell Purify against him. Next we have Sun. Sun is a hero you wouldn't want to mess alone. In the late game, fighting 1 vs 1 against him is really hard and doing that will be a dumb way of approaching him. He can be hard to deal with in the late game, but in the early game he is very weak. Take advantage of this and try to dominate him. Items like Dominance and the Wind of Nature works best against him. And to dominate him in the early game, pick Lapu-lapu, Terizla or Badang. The spell Sprint also works really well against Sun. Today is date 20 of July and finally it's time for phase 2 of the 10 epic skin winner. Let's go to YouTube and select 5 random videos and then draw using comment picker. The first winner is Mlbb. And here is our second winner, Prime Phoenix. Hunter X Hyper, congratulations on being the third winner. And we have our fourth winner, Sana Kevin. The last winner is Harjeet Kaur. All the winners email us at Kazukiofficialinfo@gmail.com for further information. Alpha. Alpha has risen to the top after the latest adjustment. His true damage and HP regen is just awesome. Sometimes I get to a point where I feel like I can do 1 versus 5 against the enemy. His skills has low cooldown and works really well with his passive. To win against him is hard. Either use Franco CC and burst him down, or use Valir and don't let him touch you. Mincetar against him is also a good choice. Always let your team jungler out damage him or have higher gold than him, otherwise your team won't be able to stop him in the late game. Anti-Curious, Rose Gold Meteor and Dominance also works well against him. Next will be Ruby. The new lifesteal and the emblem system have given Ruby to have a new type of playing. It has given her more choices on what role to play. Her spell vamp has reduced, but she can now build more items instead of buying lifesteal. Her spell vamp can be scary if she has some gold lead, but buying anti-heal items can be the best counter for her. Dominance, Sea Halberd and Necklace of Durance get one of these items and her effectiveness will be reduced. Kufra, Yuzong and Mincetar will give her a hard time. Let's also talk about Lapu-lapu. Lapu in experienced lane is just awesome. His ability to dive back lines is just one of the best, and things can go out of control if he dives in perfectly. His enhanced ultimate is scary for all heroes with less mobility. Always look out for him trying to dive in and try to dodge it. He's hard to deal with, but heroes like Freya, Thamuz and Dairoth can win against him in the laning phase if played properly. If you have no experience, just use Franco or Mincetar and burst him down. For items, fighter or tanks can get Anti-Curious, mages can get Winter Truncheon and Wind of Nature for MM. Up next will be Argus. He's a chill hero who is very weak in the early game. But in the late game, he has a skill that can make him immune to death, and during this duration, you have to watch out as he can burst down even tanky heroes. Try to end as early as possible when facing him by giving him a hard time in the laning phase. Fighters that are tanky in the early game can easily win against him, such as Tarizla, Lapu-lapu and Thamuz. And for the late game mages with high poking abilities such as Sicilian and Chang'e works against him. Poke him and let him use his ultimate. Retreat when he is using his ultimate, and when the duration is over, that's your time to go in. For items, get Dominance, Rose Gold Meteor and Wind of Nature. The spell Sprint also works well when Argus is using ultimate. Up next will be Johead. Johead can be threat once he reaches level 4, as his damage output in the early game is too much compared to the other fighters. If played as a jungler, his jungling speed is on another level. And because of his skill 2, he can also rotate fast. But his effectiveness drops in the late game when enemies start building defensive items. So when facing him, try not to give him free gold. Heroes like Franco, Valir and Digi works against him, either burst him down or annoy him while keeping enough distance. Get Dreadnought armor in the early game, Wind of Nature and Winter Truncheon when facing him. Next will be Martis. Martis have been in the meta for a while now and he is performing well. I have tried a couple of times, and from my experience, I can say that if he gets a good gank in the first 2 to 3 minutes, he can be really hard hero to deal with. And again, his effectiveness drops in the late game. So hope that your team doesn't fade in the early game. Use heroes like Kaja, Franco and Diki when facing against him. You can even use Mincetar. For items, you can get Anti-Curious, Dominance Eyes and Rose Gold Meteor. If you are looking for 100% safe and secure diamonds, Kazuki Official Store is here to fulfill your need. We are trusted by more than 100k Mlbb players from India, Philippines and Europe. Do visit our website and browse between various pets. Up next, we have Aldous. As you guys all know that facing Aldous in the late game is not fun, especially when he gets enough stake in the early game. He can literally do burst damage even if he has all the defense items. And to stop that from happening, always annoy him when he's farming stake by freezing lane or ganking him again and again. In the early game, Chow can give a hard time to Aldous, but in the late game, the table flips, so end as early as possible. For items, get Twilight Armor, Wind of Nature and Winter Truncheon. Next, we have Leo mode. Leo mode's pick rate has been reducing a lot these days, but he still has the potential to dominate if it's in the right hand. He has a lot of early game advantage. Especially his passive, it hurts a lot, and once he uses his ultimate, he is just unstoppable. But without his ultimate, he is very weak and can't do anything. Try to eliminate him before he uses his ultimate or after the duration of his ultimate. Heroes like Minsitar, Kufra and Kaza can be really annoying for him. Get the item Antiquarius and Wind of Nature when facing him. Up next will be Thamuz. Thamuz is scary if you don't have any mobility or CC. He can keep on spamming his skill 1 and also his passive does a lot of damage. And in team fights, he can tank a lot of damage for the team. When combining Vengeance and his ultimate, it's really hard to kill him. But he is weak against slow or poke damage from a distance, while it can be one of the most annoying heroes for him to face. Dairot and Franco combined can burst him down so well. Playing Eve against him is also a good choice. Build items like Dominance and Antiquarius to reduce his healing and damage. Next will be anti-dash hero Minsitar. After his revamp, he is constantly getting banned in almost every match. He can make all the Dash's heroes useless in the team fight when he uses his ultimate. And he even has a skill that can hook multiple heroes. Before taking a fight, try to bait his ultimate if possible. You can also use Faramis to give a second chance to your teammate, or Franco to burst him down before he uses his ultimate. Items like Antiquarius and Wind of Nature work well if he is going for damage builds. Let's also talk about Badang. One perfect Badang combo against the enemy and the match is done. He is one of the 2 heroes who can create a wall in Mlbb, and the passive knockback effect is just way too annoying. He recently got a nerf, but he is still playable. When playing against him, try to dodge his skill 2 as his ultimate is just useless when it doesn't hit a wall, and everyone can just dodge it. Minsitar, Thamuz and Lapu-lapu can win him in the laning phase. Dominance Eyes, Wind of Nature and Winter Truncheon can be used against him. The spell Flicker is also a good choice. Up next we have Guinevere. Guinevere's knockup combined with her ultimate can literally kill every hero. She has been forgotten for a while as it's really easy to counter her. Use any hero that has dash skill and you can easily dodge her skill too. But if you don't have a fast reaction time, you can also use a spell Purify. Radiant Armor or Athena's can also easily make her combo useless. Next will be Terizla. Terizla is slow, but the amount of damage from his skill 2 is just insane. The lower HP he gets, the more tanky he will be. It's hard to kill a fully built Terizla. His pick rate is not on the top, but I know he is a hero that is hard to deal with. When playing against him, try to watch out for his ultimate. Heroes like Diggy, Valir and Dairot work well against him. Antiquarius is a must item and Wind of Nature is also a good choice. Up next we have Xborg. Facing Xborg when you don't have mobility skills, it's just way too annoying. His true damage is high and when using the item Ice Queen Wand, it's impossible to escape. And with the new lifesteal system, he can now even get a spell ramp from the magic item Ice Queen Wand. Xborg is good when facing heroes with no mobility and also keeping a safe distance. But in face-to-face combat, he is really weak, so make sure to use heroes that can reach him easily. Heroes like Dairot, Hayabusa and Digi can be great counter for him. The spell Sprint or Flicker is recommended when facing him. And next we have Dairot. Dairot in the early game is just too scary. He can burst down even tanks easily. He has a slow effect and can chase down enemies fast with his skill 2. His ultimate is what everyone has to watch out for, especially if you are low on HP. But his effectiveness drops in the late game, so better not to let him get out of control in the early game. Franco, Valir, Eve and any poke type heroes can win against him if you can keep a safe distance. For items, get Antiquarius, Rose Gold and Dominance. Let's move on to the next hero, that is Sylvana. A good ultimate from Sylvana can be a game-changing move. She has high regen effect and also the penetration can easily burst down enemies. Heroes like Diggy can easily remove the CC from her ultimate. Teresa is also a good pick since she can't burst him. For items, get Athena's and Radiant, this will completely reduce her damage. The spell Purify is also a good choice against her CCs. Khalid. The regen from Khalid's skill 2 is just too much and his skill 1 damage in the early game is scary for sure. He has high movement speed because of his passive which help in rotating around the map very fast. And his ability to initiate fights is very good because of his ultimate. When facing him, use heroes like Franco to burst him down or even Sylvana in the laning phase. For items, get Antiquarius, Dominance or Wind of Nature. Next up is Phoveus. Phoveus is a hero with unique skills even though he is not popular right now. He can be a good counter against heroes with many dashes. Phoveus' ultimate activates each time an enemy dashes or blinks. Dashing near Phoveus is a great mistake as his ultimate activates and cooldown for all of his skills are also reduced. Make sure to check for him before diving in. For hero counter, I recommend Esmeralda as she can take his shield gained from his skills. For builds, I recommend Rose Gold Meteor or Athena's shield. Next up is Olus. Olus is a hero with high damage and great mobility. Olus is extremely deadly in the late game due to his high burst damage, so make sure he isn't fed in the early game. For the hero counters, I recommend heroes like Franco for his suppression and heroes like Karina, Saber and Dairos for their burst damage. Get items like Dominance Eyes to reduce his HP regen and Antiquarius for its ability to reduce the physical burst damage dealt by him. And at last we have Yuzong. Yuzong is one of the heroes with highest sustain because of his passive. Yuzong when played right can easily take down everyone on the team. When playing against Yuzong, try not to extend the fight and make sure that his passive doesn't stack completely. For the hero counter, I recommend Uranus and Mencita. Get items like Dominance Eyes and Sea Halberd to reduce his healing effect. I hope this video helps you guys. Do comment down your thoughts about it. So that will be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.